They say a picture can paint 1,000 words. Well, if that's the case, Ange Postecoglou standing by himself in the center circle, clapping off maybe the 50 Nottingham Forest fans left in the stadium after losing 3-0 to Chelsea. I think that paints closer to 1 million. Honestly, Forest have lost 3-0 to Chelsea today at home, and it's now 8 games on the trot as Forest manager that Ange Postecoglou has failed to win. It's the first time in Forest's history, and I think today is probably a result that will see him fired. I would be shocked to see Ange Postecoglou in the Forest dugout another game, especially when you look at Marinakis today in attendance, seemingly disappearing after going down 2-0. I know he's close to Postecoglou, but I can't imagine a man as ruthless in his decisions as Marinakis will see Postecoglou in a job after today. But it's interesting because on paper, 3-0 would make you think this was a very convincing result and performance from Chelsea. But when you actually watch this game, part of me honestly feels a little bit bad for Ange. Now, that's not to say that over 8 games, look, he's been unlucky all 8 of those games, and that's not to say that he deserves to keep his job, because at the end of the day, this is a results business. I'm very harsh with Amram, as you guys know. If Amram went 8 games without a win, oh my goodness, if you guys think I'm harsh now, wow. So it's not to say that Ange deserves massive plaudits for his tenure so far, but in this game in particular,
the symbol of success strikes again. The football gods have spoken. This is our new identity. This is who we are, mate. And you're fired, mate. You're sacked, yeah? Screwed. Finished. Unlucky son. I don't care. A lot of people are going to come around here and tell me what you do and don't deserve in this life that we call football. I don't give 2 rats bumperclots. I am living my life right now, and I'm living it well. 3-0 away at Nottingham Forest. With that lineup, with that setup, with that system. If you had told me that Chelsea were going to win by that margin, by that scoreline at the end of the game, as opposed to what I watched in that first half, I said it on the watch along. I'm not biting your hand off. I'm biting your arm off. I'm biting off your whole limb for that result, for that scoreline. Absolutely insane game. Insane. And Chelsea, as always, do it with 10 men. Are you, as an op, as a rival, are you capable of winning 3-0 at the City ground, even with Big Ange, who's now unemployed, out of a job centre, seeking employment, P45 settings? More than happy to have you as a guest on the watch-alongs if you wish for next game week. Do you think you're capable of winning with 10 men? Because I don't think you're us. We are going to grounds and winning with 10 men. 3-0. Maresca has learned how to win with 10 men, ladies and gentlemen. He has not put the handbrake on with the 10 men. He is not making crazy defensive substitutions. He's not hooking attackers. He is just flourishing with 10 men. I can't wait for those comments. I can't wait for that post-match interview. I've got super chats that I forgot to read at the end of the watch-along because I was so gassed. I'll read them later on in this review. I am pumped. But it didn't come without a cussing. It did not come without a cussing and a crucifixion because I was so angry at halftime with this team. Let's get into it. Maresca.
We're doing an Ange Postecoglou sacked by Nottingham Forest reaction. Well, I've got to say, it was coming, but it probably is a surprise it's happened this quick. A football club in turmoil. This is what they've released in the last few minutes on their official X account. Nottingham Forest Football Club can confirm that after a series of disappointing results and performances, Ange Postecoglou has been relieved of his duties as head coach with immediate effect. The club will make no further comment at this time. I mean, look, this is exactly what we were talking about on the watch-along. The people who run football clubs, whether it's Manchester United or Nottingham Forest or whoever else, they may have the money to put themselves into power, but they don't necessarily know football that well. And this is the danger that happens when people get hold of something and think they know more than the fans. They clearly didn't know more than the fans, and this is backfired massively, embarrassingly for the owner of Nottingham Forest, because from Nuno to Ange Postecoglou was universally ridiculed by the world of football. It's like, you know what? You might have fallen out with Nuno. I get that. I don't think anybody can sit there and say sacking Nuno was a definitive mistake, because you don't know how Nuno behaved. You don't know how the owner behaved. If they fell out, you can't work together. Come on, you've got to make a change. But to go from Nuno to Ange, that compounded the problem, because it's like Ange Postecoglou was poor in the Premier League with a better team last season. Why would you give him a Forest team that play nothing like the way he plays? Incredible. It was just such a weird thing to do. And
Get in, Chelsea. Get in. I don't even support them, but this was absolutely beautiful. This was a huge win. Huge win. Even from Maresca's press conference, if anyone listened to it or decided they want to, there's a lot going on in the Chelsea camp. And to go away from home and you still had a couple murmurs of, like doubt that you was ever going to win this game, then really and truly, bit of a donut, aren't you? It is Ange's Forest. But anyways, smash the likes. You've done absolute wonders today. And you know what? Big performance in that second half. Subscribe if you're brand new. I do a lot of these breakdowns, so up to you guys if you want to stay on board and go along with this. But I'm gonna have to break this game down wholeheartedly from first half to second half. And I've got a few players I need to big up, and even the manager himself. You got to give credit when credit's due to Maresca. He had a huge gamble in the first half, right? So Esteval being on the bench, Caicedo being on the bench. Of course, they've been playing for their respective countries. Typically, when players do go away further long distances to go and play for their international teams, they typically start on the bench, right? And obviously, you're seeing Gusto in the middle of the park. Andre Santos playing a little bit further up. João Pedro, bless him, he's been doing a bit of everything recently for Chelsea. It was a struggle. You was getting bopped off the park. Realistically, actually, if anyone agrees, let me know in the comments. Should have probably been down 2-0. Anderson with that left foot decided to cut in. You could say Morgan gives White a couple chances, should have buried one of those. Even in the second half, they had a couple. Forest didn't go down without a fight. But in the first half, Maresca just put out what he could. And this is why you got to big him up, right? Because you've barely got anything going on in terms of your squad. Enzo Fernandez is injured. I didn't even know that. Right, Caicedo's just cut, and Esteval just come back from international duties. Barely got any fit centre backs.
Breaking news, Ange Postecoglou has been sacked by that Greek-Slovaki shug knight Marinakis after getting touched at home once again, fam. The way Forest get touched at home, their initials should be GBH. The man's been sacked so many times, you would have thought he was a quarterback in the NFL. His job lasted 40 days. That's like Lent, fam. Lentertainment. I told everyone when Forest hired Ange, they could go down faster than the Shanghai Tower in China, blood. Because everybody knew when they brought in Ange, Forest defensive line was going to be higher than Marinakis' cholesterol. During that Chelsea game, Marinakis left his seat so fast, he must have called a Uber XXL, fam. I've never seen him move that quick. We need the footage. Ange Postecoglou isn't Premier League ready, fam. Last season, I saw 22 defeats, blood. Seeing defeat all the time like I worked in Margaret Dabbs, fam. Premier League pedicures, blood. Yeah, he won man the Europa League, but it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and man don't need Charles Dickens managing my football club, blood. The Australian Barry Evans, fraud Flintstone, the Brisbane Bielsa, Aussie idealist, fam. Man hasn't won a game since he was hired at Forest. He's been turned over. Aussie hourglass, turned over. There's more chance of Ange having washboard abs than defending set pieces, blood. That man couldn't stop a cross if he was married to a lollipop lady. He couldn't. Time a cross comes in, the team dies. It's like man's managing vampires, blood. They see a cross, they die. He must have came into Forest, sacked the set piece coach, and introduced higher lines than Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. That's what he did. Anyone deserved this, it's Marinakis, the owner, fam. Sacking Nuno thinking you're Real Madrid, bringing in Ange, and looking like Real Zaragoza, blood. Just been sacked twice since Ruben Amorim has arrived as Man United manager. Can you believe it? Amount of Spurs fans that wanted to give this man another year. What are you gonna do that for, blood? When his birthday comes around, that's when he gets another year. You man must be on LSD. This could have been us, but we pulled the plug. We turned off the life support machine, fam. We had to. If we kept him, we could be at the Carabao Cup already. The man was talking about season 3 like this is Gangs of London, fam. A man ended up like Sean Wallace, blood. The two things Ange left me with was a Europa League trophy and the desire to write a will in my 30s, blood. I'm telling you, fam. Brother, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe.
Well, look what's happened. Look what's happened. We are back here again. Yeah? This is the first time I've seen this in my life of a manager. This is like a sub the sub. Sub the sub. The fastest sacking it's got to be in Premier League history. This man didn't James Bond, 00 Ange. My man said 008 agent. Literally 1-0. Absolutely not. Hold the record. Record scratch. You want to sack Nuno. Yeah? Good for you. Sujnai, Galifianakis. Good for you. On a serious note, hold that. You deserve it, bro. Because Crystal Palace shouldn't be playing in the competition they're in. You, man, did that. You did that. Yeah? And now look, you went and got rid of a good manager. Very hard to find. I know this. You got rid of a good manager for a guy that finished 17th. That should have been alarm bells ringing. But you clearly see, not everybody has sense. Not everybody has sense. And as soon as they conceded another goal, I looked at him and I thought, you know what? Where's he going? Where's Galifianakis going? Is he going to go sack the manager? I got the video straight away.
I've done it. I've done it. I've done it.
He's gone. He can't play here. And you know what? You've done this. You've done this to yourself. This is when an owner is, you could have made peace. Yes, you lost relationship. It was a bit tough. It was a bit rough. But this man delivered for you last season. Nottingham Forest had a season that no one could ever understand. Right now, they're in relegation. Nottingham Forest find themselves looming around the relegation places. Why? All because some guy decided that I don't know who he thinks he is. Again, Morgan Gibbs White signs a contract. You saw what happened. You saw how that thing went crazy. Yeah? And they got good pieces there. They got good players. But now, what have you done? What have you done to your dressing room? What have you done? Chris Wood was the main man. Now, couldn't get off the bench. I'm looking at Awani. I'm looking at Jay. I watched the game today. It's so relevant for the score to be there because this was the score in today's game. Yeah?